Picture this. A major storm just knocked out power across your region. Roads are flooded, your local grocery store shelves are stripped clean within hours, and you're standing in your kitchen wondering, do I actually have enough food to last the next week, 2 weeks, a month? This isn't a far-fetched scenario. It's happened hundreds of times, after hurricanes, after winter storms, after supply chain disruptions that hit without warning. And every single time, the people who were prepared barely noticed. The ones who weren't, they were in panic mode. Here's the thing. Being prepared doesn't mean spending thousands on elaborate freeze-dried meal kits. The most reliable, affordable, and practical survival food has been sitting on your grocery store shelf this whole time. Canned food. Today, we're going over the 7 most important types of canned foods you need to start stockpiling right now, and why most people are dramatically underestimating how powerful this simple strategy actually is.
Number 1, canned fish. Let's start with the heaviest hitter in terms of pure nutrition, canned fish. Tuna, salmon, sardines, mackerel, these are the most nutrient-dense proteins you can store in a can. Here's what separates canned fish from everything else. You're getting complete protein, healthy fats, and omega-3 fatty acids, the kind of fat your brain and cardiovascular system need, especially in a high-stress situation. Compare that to canned chicken or canned beef, and canned fish isn't even close. Now, the one thing most people don't factor in, mercury. Not all canned fish carries the same risk. Sardines, mackerel, salmon, anchovies, and herring are all naturally low in mercury, while keeping their nutritional value high. For tuna specifically, light tuna varieties carry significantly less mercury than albacore. So if you or anyone in your household has concerns about mercury exposure, you have options, and those options still give you top-tier nutrition. Yes, some of the better fish varieties cost a bit more per can, but when you're looking at caloric density, protein per dollar, and shelf life that easily stretches past the best by date by years, canned fish earns its place at the top of your stockpile.
Number 2, canned chicken. If canned fish is the nutrition king, canned chicken is the versatility workhorse, and it might be the single most underrated protein you can stockpile. Why? Because chicken works in everything. Soups, rice dishes, wraps, salads, sandwiches. In an emergency, you're not going to be cooking elaborate meals, and canned chicken makes it easy to throw together something decent with minimal effort. Open the can, add it to whatever you've got, and you've got a real meal. Calorie-wise, it sits a bit lower than canned fish. Protein is solid, but not quite as high. Fat content is minimal. Where canned chicken wins is cost efficiency. It's one of the most affordable canned meats per unit, which means you can stockpile significantly more of it without blowing your prep budget. One tip most prepper channels skip: look for dark meat varieties when you can find them. Dark meat has more flavor and more calories than white meat, which matters when you're eating the same foods for an extended stretch. Most of what you'll find at a typical store is white meat, but it's worth sourcing the dark meat if you have a warehouse store nearby. And just like all canned meat, low-sodium options are your friend. In a long-duration emergency, a high-sodium diet becomes a real issue. Make the low-sodium choice now while you have the luxury of choosing.
Number 3, canned soup and stew. This category is where convenience and nutrition collide, and for families especially, this might be the most practical category on the entire list. Canned soups and stews are complete meals in a can. You don't need to prep ingredients, you don't need to think about macros, you don't need any cooking skill. Pop the can open, heat it up, or don't, and you're eating. In a scenario where you're dealing with stress, limited resources, and possibly children or elderly family members, this simplicity is invaluable. But let's break down what you're actually getting, because not all canned soups are equal. Bean-based soups and stews are your protein and fiber powerhouses, filling, nutritious, and they'll keep you satisfied for hours. Chicken noodle and broth-based soups bring solid protein but are lighter on calories. Cream-based soups are your highest calorie option, useful when caloric intake needs to stay high.
Beef stew hits almost every macro at once: protein, fat, carbs, and fiber in a single can. The sodium issue is worth flagging again here. Most canned soups are loaded with sodium, and what feels fine in normal daily life starts to become problematic if you're eating it every day for weeks. Whenever possible, opt for reduced sodium versions and rotate those to the front of your stockpile. Build variety into this category. A stockpile of 20 identical cans of tomato soup is going to destroy morale fast. Mix the types: stews, broth-based, bean-based, cream-based, and your family will thank you.
Number 4. Canned beans. Pound for pound, or rather can for can, nothing in your entire stockpile gives you more value than canned beans. The nutrition profile is extraordinary. High in plant-based protein, high in dietary fiber, rich in iron, magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins. And beans are one of the few foods that genuinely keeps you full. The fiber slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and sustains your energy for hours. In a crisis situation where you need to stay calm, functional, and physically capable, stable blood sugar isn't a small thing. Black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, navy beans, they each bring slightly different nutrient ratios, so diversifying your bean supply gives you a wider nutritional base without spending much more. The versatility is the other piece. You can eat them cold, straight from the can. You can add them to soups and stews to extend the meal. You can build entire dishes around them: chili, rice and beans, bean soup. The number of recipes where a can of beans fits in is almost endless, which means your food options stay interesting, even in a prolonged situation. And the price to nutrition ratio is unmatched. Beans are one of the cheapest items in the entire store relative to how much protein and fiber they deliver. Stock heavily. You won't regret it. Number 5. Canned vegetable and fruits. This is where most preppers underinvest, and it shows up fast when things get tough. Protein and calories get all the attention in survival planning, but after a few weeks of eating meat, beans, and soup without adequate vitamins and minerals, your body will let you know something is wrong. Canned vegetables and fruits are not optional. On the vegetable side, green beans, spinach, peas, mixed vegetables, and corn each bring different micronutrients. Spinach is dense in iron and vitamin K. Green beans bring vitamin C and fiber. Peas are solid for protein and B vitamins. Corn is lighter on nutrition, but high in calories. Mixed vegetables are the easiest way to get broad coverage without overthinking it. Fruits have their own unique role. Beyond vitamins, peaches for vitamin A and potassium, pineapple and mandarin oranges for vitamin C, pears for fiber, canned fruits provide natural sugars and light hydration from their packing juice. In a situation where morale is low, a can of peaches or mixed berries is a genuine psychological boost, especially for children. One critical thing to know: high-acid fruits, anything citrus-heavy or tomato-based products, have a shorter effective shelf life than other canned goods because the acid can degrade the can lining faster. They're still worth stocking, but rotate them more frequently and don't push them as far past their best-by date as you would beans or meat. Number 6. Canned evaporated milk. This one doesn't show up on most survival food lists, which is exactly why it needs to be on yours. Canned evaporated milk is one of the most overlooked items in the entire preparedness space. And for households with children or anyone who uses milk regularly in cooking, it's a game changer. Here's what makes it different from powdered milk: the taste. Evaporated milk, when mixed with an equal amount of water, produces something that tastes almost indistinguishable from regular whole milk. Powdered milk, on the other hand, has a chalky, flat taste that most people, especially kids, will reject. In a high-stress situation, getting your family to actually eat and drink without complaints matters more than most preppers acknowledge. The shelf life on evaporated milk is shorter than canned meat or beans, roughly 1 to 2 years rather than 2 to 5, but it still dramatically outlasts fresh milk without refrigeration. And when a can gets close to its best-by date, the conversion is seamless. Pour it into a container, add water, stir, and you've got fresh milk. No one will know the difference. A reasonable stockpile goal: 12 to 15 cans. That gives you coverage for baking, cereal, coffee, and direct drinking without taking up significant shelf space.
It's a low-cost, high-comfort addition that punches well above its weight.
Having the right canned foods is only half the equation. How you store them determines whether that investment actually pays off when you need it. The single most important habit is first in, first out. FIFO. Every time you add new cans to your stockpile, the older cans move to the front and new cans go behind them. This sounds simple, but it's the reason some people throw away perfectly usable food and others never do. A shelf you can access from both sides makes this dramatically easier. Temperature matters more than most people think. The sweet spot for canned food storage is between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Extreme heat, garages in summer, areas near appliances, accelerates the degradation of both the can lining and the food inside. Direct sunlight compounds this. A cool, dark pantry or closet shelf is ideal. Inspect your cans regularly. Dents along the seam are a red flag. Those can compromise the seal. Swollen or bulging cans should be discarded immediately. Rust is another warning sign. And when you open any can that's past its best-by date, your senses are your best diagnostic tool. A bad smell or unusual color tells you everything you need to know. One more thing, and this is critical. Only stockpile what your household actually eats. 1,000 cans of food your family refuses to touch is 1,000 cans of wasted money and morale. Build your stockpile around real eating habits, and it becomes something you naturally rotate through, rather than a hoard you're afraid to touch. Here's the bottom line. Canned food is not glamorous. It doesn't have the marketing appeal of fancy freeze-dried kits or the mystique of certain survival gear, but it is reliable, affordable, accessible at any grocery store, and proven to last far beyond what the labels say. You don't need to do this all at once. The whole point of canned food prep is that you can build gradually. A few extra cans every time you shop, slowly rotating through them, quietly expanding your coverage. Before long, you have weeks or months of food security that cost you almost nothing extra per week. But don't treat canned food as your only strategy. The strongest preparedness plans layer multiple food sources. Canned goods, pantry staples, freeze-dried options, and water storage all working together. No single category covers every scenario. Start with 1 can per category this week, then 2, then a shelf, then a system. The people who are ready when something goes wrong didn't build their stockpile overnight. They just started earlier than everyone else. Until next time, take care and prepare.